Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Spiritually Fly Sunday of the Word. My name is Faith Hunter, and I'm going to wait a couple of seconds, maybe about a minute or so, until people jump in. So, greetings, everyone. Greetings. Hello. Thank you for joining me for another episode. So, if you've taken a quick look at today's topic, the word topic, today's topic is decoding religion. Now, I'm not going to go into, I figured that would touch a couple of things, but I'm not going to go into decoding all the religion and what that looks like and all of those specifics. But within my book, Spiritually Fly, right? Wisdom, meditations, and yoga to elevate your soul. There is a section called Decoding Religion. And that is in Sutra 5 in the chapter that is phrased, trust and have faith in yourself and others. So before I talk a little bit about decoding religion and what today's word is about, I want to provide a little framework because I do that before this particular section. The framework is that, and some people may already know this, I've had this, or early on, I should say, I had this love-hate relationship with the concept of God for a really, really long time. I grew up Baptist, and my grandparents were also Baptist. My paternal grandparents were Baptist. My maternal grandparents were Methodist. My mother is very steeped in the Baptist church, and so going to church was always something that was a significant part of my life. However, my father, he was not going to, it's so funny when I think about him, my father's no longer alive now, but when I think about him and my mom having discussions about going to church, he's like, nah, I don't listen to another man's word. And so always hearing him say that, like, he's not going to bow down or listen to another man's word. He knows what is true and right, and that truth and righteousness, that pureness is his intuition and in his heart. And so hearing him say that very young, right, meaning that when I was very young, and hearing him share those words, and then at some point, I was really young, so it was like the 80s. Both of my brothers were diagnosed with HIV. So prior to that, I was going to vacation Bible school. I was going to church every single Sunday, right? As a little girl, little Faith. I was baptized like really, really young. I mean, I could barely even walk. I think I was like, what I can remember is I was literally asleep in church, like on one of my aunties, my Aunt Ruth is what we used to call her. I was probably asleep in her lap, and then I woke up, and then I was like, well, I'm gonna go join the church. And then I just walked up to the front of the church, and I joined. And then next thing I know, I'm getting baptized. And if you guys, here's a funny story. So on the day that I was getting baptized in my church, New Rocky Valley Baptist Church in Grambling, I was all dressed in my robe, my white, and the baptismal area was like right at the top, right behind the pulpit. And so I'm like walking up the steps in the back, and then I come to the water, and there's the water. What happens? I literally baptized myself because I kind of like tripped or slipped or jumped. I don't know what happened. I just like dove underwater, and boom. And then the pastor kind of pulled back a little bit. He was like, oh, no. And then he dunked me again. And then I got up, and then the rest was history. That's a funny story because it really brings me to the aspect of once my brothers were diagnosed with HIV in the 80s, my mind around God and what God represented to me and the words in the Bible, I felt like I could not take those seriously. I couldn't listen, right, coming back to my father's thoughts and like understanding of religion. I couldn't rely on someone else telling me what the words in the Bible mean. And so I had decided at that moment in time to start to pull away and step away from organized religion. I mean, literally, my parents had to make an agreement because I was so disconnected from the church. Basically, my parents made an agreement with me and themselves is that I would actually go to church twice a month. So I would go on first Sunday, and then I would pick another Sunday, and then the other Sundays, as I became high school age and whatnot, I was a teenager, I just started going like whatever other Sundays twice a month. And then the rest of the time I would just stay home with my dad and just hang out with him or sleep late, do nothing, watch TV. I mean, like literally talk to him. I mean, it was my day, or really it was my day with my dad, because most of the time we would just stay home and make sure that my mom's dinner didn't burn. So, but all of that came to the fact that when my brothers were diagnosed, where was God? Because I had believed, based upon the words of others, right, the words of my pastor, that God was a loving God. God was a forgiving God. God can save all. God can provide you with everything you need. And I said, oh, no. God's taking my brothers away, and that's not the God I want to follow. And so I pulled away. By the time I was in college, I really would only go to church when my mother requested it. And my belief in organized religion was like on a major fast decline. Not even slow, it was major fast decline. But then at some point when my older brother died, I decided, or when he was going through his complications before his death, that's when I started practicing yoga and doing meditation. And that kind of slowly, as I always like to tell my mom, that slowly brought me back to God. And in her thoughts and in her perception it brought me back to her God. And I was like, no. It's bringing me back to my God. And because sorry about that, guys. Because I felt that it was important for me to have this connection to spirit, the return to God and the understanding of the words that were written in honor of God, right? Meaning the Bible, the Quran, right? All of those other religious texts. I had to look at how are those words being used? How are those words being shifted and changed to serve man? But very specifically, how is it being used within the context of religion to control, to suppress, and deny the elevation of women? So my decoding of organized religion, my decoding of religious texts really was centered around me as a woman practicing on my mat, on my meditation pillow, me as a Black woman practicing my meditation, doing my spiritual work, and saying, yeah, these words in the text have value, meaning they are powerful, they're inspirational, they provide some level of guidance, but I am not going to rely on an organized religion to guide me in that way. I'm going to rely on my internal wisdom. I'm going to rely on my intuition in order to walk my path. I am God. God is within me, the creatress, the goddess, the Most High, whatever, Shakti, like whatever phrase you want to use, right? The ultimate creator that she is, because she, the divine source, God, is me, and I am her. So the passage that I want to share tonight is on page 105. And again, the section that it's from is called Decoding Religion. And I remember when my father died in November of 2001, right? And I was living in New York when I found out about his death, right? And I flew home, and there was just like so much layered in it. And I just remember like some of my relatives really wanting to create this religious ceremony and homegoing for him. And I was like, this shit is fake as F. Like, I'm like, this is not what my dad would have wanted. And it really disturbed me in so many ways. I've never really said that out loud. That is not in my book, by the way, but I'm just saying that out loud. But the thing that was the most powerful wasn't the church and the religious, I should say, and his funeral at church. But what was the thing that hit me the most is those moments before he was actually put into the ground. So when we were actually at the gravesite, and that's what I'm going to read a little bit about today, because there is a passage that the minister and the pastor reads that had such a heavy impact on me that had me questioning all the things. So let's get to that. So again, this is from my book, Spiritually Fly. It is from Sutra 5, Trust and Have Faith in Yourself and Others, and page 105, Decoding Religion. I have a feeling that what I'm about to share will rub people the wrong way, but I've learned it is important for me to share my journey. Over the years, as my relationship with God was renewed, as I shared earlier, the following biblical texts continued to surface. The passage was one I would hear on any given Sunday from the Baptist pulpit, and I vividly remember during my funerals and family memorials. I recall the day my dad was buried. Between men carrying his body to the grave and cries during the 21 gun salute, because my father was in the army, the pastor read this scripture. The first line is what I couldn't seem to work through. So I'm going to read the scripture and then I'm going to continue on. The scripture is, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all ways, submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. That's Proverbs 3, 5 through 6. The first line is what I couldn't seem to work through. I struggled for so many years with the religious aspects of God, and I watched in anger as my mother suffered in silence over her life's experiences. How can we trust in a God that doesn't believe in humans? How could we, over and over, give our hearts to a God that hasn't comforted us in our lowest points? How could we possibly lean in with an open heart when horrific occurrences in life pollute the strength we have in spiritual teachings and humanity? I think I'm going to read the second paragraph because I'm going to do that. When the internal dialogue around trust surfaced in my mind, I knew how to evaluate my personal interpretations and understand the Bible. I'm going to read that again. I knew the God in me, faith, the God, the goddess, the creatress, knew I had to evaluate my personal interpretation and understanding of the Bible. Basically, the lack of belief based on my own meaning of God was weighing on my heart. Because as I shared at some point, I couldn't feel it, right? I lost all faith in God and what that meant, meaning the God that I was raised on. The heaviness thrust me into hours and days of reading, meditating, crying, and listening to gospel music. I laugh now, but I know my yoga students knew something internal was happening. I would play old church hymns background music during classes, and give Dharma talks about knowing the self. When things got really confusing, I would read blogs on religious topics in hopes of finding an answer or something to provide comfort. It was a spiritual puzzle I was committed to piecing together, and by the grace of God, I was determined to find clarity. So as I moved through my own understanding and relationship with God, I had to craft my own way. I had to craft my own beliefs. And they are not the same spiritual beliefs that my mother has. They're not the same spiritual beliefs that my brother has. It's my own connection to the divine, my very sacred connection to what I feel is a higher power. My personal belief, and again, this is very personal, and people have to make their own determination and decision around this, meaning religion, spirituality. But my personal belief is that you have to pause, look at maybe what you were raised on, and decode what that means for you. Break it apart, because that's exactly what I did. When I start questioning, I kind of pushed it to the side. But then as I became a yoga teacher, I had to bring those teachings forward, completely unravel them, and then pull out what made sense for me. And this particular chapter it was probably one of the most interesting ones to write, even just writing that statement down that I'm going to rephrase what is said in the Bible, and this is what I mean. You have to actually read the book in order for you to get that taste. But trust in God, what does that really mean? And if someone wants to maybe add their thoughts, what does trust in God really mean to you? I just want you to pause and think about that for a moment. Even just close your eyes and go, what does that phrase mean? Trust in God. I know that by putting this out, yes, it will touch a few buttons. But like someone just shared, and what I share in the book, trusting God is not about trusting the words of a pastor and believing their interpretation of spiritual texts. Doesn't matter what spiritual text it is. And I'm just throwing out a Bible passage because that's how I was raised. It's not believing what someone is a spiritual or religious scholar says. Trust in God is trust in you. Trust in yourself, in your own intuition, believing that you are filled with power, with grace, with undeniable truth, that you are a walking manifestation of the divine. And as I talk about in the book, what happens to us as humans, right? From the time that we are born, from the time that we are moving around in these adult bodies, we lose trust in ourselves. We lose the connection to intuition to live out who we are. It's happened to me, it's happened to you, it's happened to just about everyone on this planet. Because when we come out of our mother's womb, when we come out of that goddess's womb, right? And we are birthed, regardless of your relationship with your mother, they're still divine. The moment that we exit that womb, we have this soul that's carried across the portal of that's filled with belief and purity and love and strength and power and this intuitive knowing. You, the baby, right? We would wake up in the middle of the night and know exactly what we needed. Did we need the touch of our mother? Did we need the hugs and love of our caregivers? Did we need the precious milk? Or did we simply need the earth, the sun, play? And then the moment that we start walking and talking, the suppression of our divinity begins. And we stop believing in ourselves. We stop trusting ourselves. And so a lot of my work is about rebuilding that, reconnecting us to our divinity, reconnecting us to our inner truth, our inner God, our inner creator, our inner creatress, reconnecting us to the center of our being, that aspect that we lost on our path to becoming adults. So that's what I wanted to drop today. The word conversation, the word theme is decoding religion. And I just wanted to share my story around, And so one thing I normally don't do on these conversations is I normally don't invite guests. But I just have this strange feeling that someone wants to say something tonight. So if you do, go on and make a quick request, and I will add you in to share your thoughts on what I've been talking about. Share your thoughts on religion, share your thoughts on higher power, share your thoughts on God, share your thoughts on trusting yourself. So go on and make a request, and if not, I'm gonna pop off. Yeah. So that's it. I'll wait a couple of little seconds if anyone wants to share anything, if anyone wants to say hi. There's so many comments in here, and I will share some of these comments. Believe in something that is bigger than thyself. Yes, more of this. The other thing, trusting in a higher power and knowing all is well. There we go. Queendom. All right, Mama. Trying to get you in here. And it's not letting me. Maybe if I try it with you. Oh, oh. Oi, oi, oi. Okay, I want to have a conversation with people, and it's not letting me in, or not letting them in. I have 2 requests, and I'm trying to get you ladies in. Okay, let's try one more time. All right. So stay there, Mama. Quentin, don't go anywhere. I'm going to try and go live with you this way. All right, it's saying that you're unable to join, so I don't know what is going on. There we go. Yes. Peace and blessings. Oh! All right. She was there for a quick moment. Maybe it is a connection issue. Let's try one more time. There we go. Yay.
Huh?
Hello, Queen.
Hello, peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings to you. What would you like to share tonight?
I just wanted to share how what you say about the higher power and trusting in the higher power in our divine self rings so true. And I so appreciate you sharing your teachings about being spiritually fly. It has really uplifted my soul, and I've come from a very strict religious upbringing.
Mm,
And when you spoke about not believing the same thing as our parents, I used to carry a certain amount of shame and blame for not adopting the same religion. But now I feel a sense of peace
mm.
following my truth.
Yes, yes. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Do you have any wise words that you want to share with people? Because I mean, the wisdom is sitting in you too.
Um, well, what I could share from my personal experience is just connecting to the divine on a daily basis. So I just take time in nature or at the beach and just
Mm,
surrender to a higher power and just put out positive affirmations that all will be well and all my needs are taken care of no matter what.
yeah, yeah. Thank you so very much for sharing that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you. Thank you.
All right. Have a blessed week.
Have a blessed week, everyone.
All right. So Instagram has done something new. Can you exit yourself so I can let somebody else in? Oh, there she is. Hey, hello. Can you go in and introduce yourself? I missed your name when I clicked the button.
Hi, my name is Marcy.
I'm Marcy.
Hi. Actually, I thought this, I don't even know. It was just funny because I am in Cleveland, and I am currently in yoga teacher training with Dawn Rivers, and I believe you are aware of her.
Yes.
And we just talked this weekend. I just got off, like we were done at 5 o'clock. So, we were doing some Yoga Sutras
Mm,
from Patanjali,
hmm.
and Bhagavad Gita.
Yes.
And it really like blew my mind, and it made me question, um, things that was taught, to me as a child. And I really now, like at the end, I was just kind of like reflecting on what we just did. So just to see your
Hmm.
live come up, I was like, oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the fact, as a child, being in the culture that we were not uh, allowed to question.
Hmm.
So now, just after this, I'm really looking forward to going through that journey,
Yeah.
seeing what that is for me,
Yeah.
what that means for me.
Perfect.
So when you said, I think somebody wants to say something, and I was like, oh, should I say something? But I mean, it really just hit the nail on the head as far as what happened this week, because this is like our fourth week, and I had a friend kind of plant a seed of what someone else said because of yoga,
Hmm.
and made me like feel conflicted at first. So now, just hearing what you said, just kind of doing some more research and trying to look and see what that means to me.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wow. Thank
kind
you for, yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And even within the the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali and as well as the Bhagavad Gita and even other Vedic texts, as you
Mhm.
read that, keep questioning. right? Because, you know, we have our teachers and we have, again, some of the same type of scholars that have written, as I look back here and I look at like
Yes, I was
some of the books
saying,
I have
yeah,
behind me, right? It's like I have so many books because I am like this ultimate questioner. And it's like I take the knowledge, I take the information that's shared, I watch the videos, I study, and then from there I break it all apart like I shared earlier, and then figure out, all right, what can I take that's going to support me, that, and as it supports me, it's naturally going to support the evolution of my family, the people
yes,
around me, right?
yes. The energy.
The
Yes,
energy,
yes,
right? It's going to
yes,
naturally expand, but we have to start to question, we have to inquire, and that starts with us really digging in deep to what our original teachings were, meaning our spiritual teachings, and determining what our new spiritual path will be,
absolutely.
and feeling confident about what steps we're taking, because it's not going to look like anyone else.
Correct,
The way
correct.
that you wake up in the morning and practice the divine, just like Quinton said, she's like, you know, when I'm on the beach and the ground, like
Yes,
I resonate with that. But then
yes,
sometimes I can't get to a beach. Most of the
yes,
time I can't get to a beach. So that
right,
means that I have to create my spiritual practices that are authentic to me. And they may be a mashup of teachings from other places. Like I
yes,
will listen to Aretha's gospel
yes.
album while at the same time moving my body through some my yoga practice.
Agree, I agree.
And of
Yes,
course, some people will say that's sacrilegious.
right, right.
You know, so congratulations on your exploration of the self, because it is not an exploration of this practice, it is the exploration of the self. And I wish you so many moments of uncovering.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and tell Dawn I said, hey, I miss her.
I will. I will. I will. I will. I appreciate this.
Thank you, darling.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Uh, you as well.
Bye.
Bye.
So guys, I just want to share that, appreciate both of those amazing women coming on and sharing their stories and offering up a couple of things tonight. But the main point that I want to take away is that you have to trust yourself. You have to process and decode everything. Like it's not just the spiritual teachings or the sacred texts that have been passed down from generation to generation, but in order for you to walk a spiritual path that is uniquely yours, it cannot look like mine. Like I throw all kinds of recommendations and suggestions in here, but the thing that I constantly say throughout, you have to make it your own. You have to do what's right for you. And yeah, it can be challenging, it can be hard. Doesn't matter if you are teaching yoga, you're practicing yoga, you have a meditation practice. If running is your spiritual practice, get on that treadmill, baby, and run. Run till you find your peace. If waking up and going for a swim connects you to your divinity, do it as much as you possibly can. You don't have to show up. No, I'm about to drop some more bombs right now. You don't have to show up to church every Sunday. And I say that in the book, in order to feel closer to the divine. You don't have to wake up and read your spiritual texts every day. And that is the only way that you can talk to God. There are so many ways. Rumi says this one thing. I think it's 1,000 ways, 100. Oh my goodness, maybe I should grab the Rumi book. But there are 1,000 ways. I'm just kind of paraphrasing here. There are 1,000 ways to connect, right? There are thousands of ways to breathe with the divine. There's 1,000 ways to love the divine. There's 1,000 ways to find comfort in the divine. There are 1,000 ways to align with the divine, meaning align with yourself, breathe with yourself, connect with yourself. And only you know those ways that are going to take you there. So that was my word for today, Spiritually Fly Sunday. Those are my thoughts on religion and what that looks like and feels like in my body, in my soul, in my being. And I want to thank you all for joining me tonight. And I'm so glad that I had two amazing women jump on and share their perspective and their thoughts. Once again, Spiritually Fly Sunday, the word is based upon my book, Spiritually Fly, Wisdom, Meditations, and Yoga to Elevate Your Soul. Go to my website, faithhunter.com. If you want to grab a copy, please grab a copy because I talk about a whole lot of stuff. This book goes way beyond the practice of yoga. It's life, spiritually fly life, and what that is. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a beautiful rest of your Sunday wherever you are in the world. Have an amazing, amazing week. Stay grounded, breathe, stay true to yourself, and listen to the divine that is on the inside. Ciao, everybody.